Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for this segment, we have Ross Iverson, co-founder and CIO of Manna, to discuss innovation in the food space and investing opportunities. Ross, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You got it. And let's start with themes you're watching for 2022. Where are we in the innovation cycle?
Yeah, I always tell people we're in the early kind of second inning of this food innovation cycle. I think we've all seen the lab-grown meats, a lot of the plant-based movement over the last few years, but that's really addressing these environmental concerns that consumers are having with where their food is coming from. What we haven't really touched on is where we're going with the human health aspect. And as consumers get more up to speed with what's making them healthier or what's causing illness, we're really looking at the next decade to be transformational with how people look at food and how they're connecting with the brands that they consume.
Are investors making progress with ESG and social impact mandates?
Yeah, I think when we go out to our investors and raise capital, you're seeing a lot of them that have mandates in place, but I would say far less than I expected at this point in time. I think there's a lot of firms that just don't want to be putting dollars into concessionary capital. They want true private equity level investment returns. And I think they're looking for firms that are doing good, but not sacrificing returns. There are things that are definitely around infrastructure that we're seeing similar to an energy type play that people are looking at impact.
How is the food industry shifting then?
You know, I think big food companies are starting to realize that the product portfolios need to start shifting, especially with some of the ingredient quality. And so what we're seeing a lot of is how do you upgrade the ingredient integrity, the traceability, the animal welfare, all of the things that by the time that calorie hits your plate, you've got more confidence that it's going to do good for your body rather than doing harm.
Interesting, because a lot of these alternative meat products, as an example, are incredibly high in salt. So it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves. So with that said, Ross, is food as medicine a new discipline?
You know, I think this goes back ages that people were using food as medicine. I think in the United States, I think right now we're in this era where people don't know how to use food as medicine. So we've got 88% of our population in the US that's metabolically unhealthy. So that's a pretty huge number when you consider that some of those healthy ones are children that just haven't had enough food in their life to kind of destroy their gut. And so what we're looking at as consumers is once we get the information and information transparency to make sure that we can actually make good consumer decisions, then I think you're going to see food as medicine becoming more the norm, that when you get sick, you're not going to go to your doctor to ask for an antibiotic that's actually going to ruin your gut bacteria. You're going to go to the grocery store and look for those foods that are going to help you get healthier.
I mean, that 88% number is just, it's mind blowing. I would imagine it's the amount of processed food that we eat here, especially in the US. So what innovation are you seeing in the food space for investors?
Yeah, the great thing is we're seeing a lot of companies launching in the ingredient side. And so you're seeing novel ingredients that are taking natural plants and their natural additives that can be actually reducing sugar content, improving fiber, all of these key components into having a healthier diet. But I always say our job is sometimes to sneak in those healthier calories into these products that we normally would go out and consume. Like a bottle of ketchup that might have 28 grams of sugar in it, we can replace that with ketchup that has 3 grams of sugar. And if you start to think about how much you consume ketchup over a year, that makes a significant difference. So I would say ingredient companies as well as tech enablement in the supply chain. I think every industry has had it. The food industry might be one of the last industries that's really getting it. And in the next 10 years, you're going to see a lot of advancements in just the efficiency of getting those healthy calories onto your plate.
So Ross, what's your strategy for investing in this space?
Yeah, you know, at Manna, we really look at growth equity. We think that because of all of the venture capital startups that were funded in the last 10 years, the next 10 years is ripe to place growth equity. And so we typically look for firms that are scaling, they have really good adoption rates, and we'll place $50 to $100 million of growth equity to get them to that stage where they're sustainable bottom line. And at that point, we typically would sell that business to a strategic food company to help them accelerate the transition from maybe an unhealthy portfolio to a healthier portfolio, or in some cases, IPO, as we did with our firm Vital Farms.
Right. All right, Ross, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.